good evening, Cheyenne. I am Mayor Orr. I am here for a Facebook Live kind of discussion chat about what's going on regarding the coronavirus here in our community. So a couple things. I'm going to kind of wait for a few minutes to make sure that everybody kind of gets online, but kind of three different points. I'm going to talk about what we know as of the latest, as of today, what we've been working on in the past, and then where we plan to go on in the future. And so with that, I'm just going to pull this up really quickly so that I can certainly answer any questions that you might have, be responsive to you all as that comes along. It's been a while since I've done this, so just hang on and okay, here we go. So let me tell you the latest as far as what we know. So let me there we go. So I don't need to hear myself. Like I said, it's been a while. Today there was it's called a presumptive positive that was confirmed in Laramie County, and it is actually a Cheyenne resident. It's a gentleman who had traveled to Weld County. He and his wife are more elderly, if you will, so there's not a situation where we've got a family or kids that are in the school district. They are both quarantining at home, and that's really a good thing. So I'm very confident that there probably wasn't a lot of transmission throughout the community. The individual did the right thing by having the symptoms and getting tested, and so and again they're quarantining. So it's somebody that hasn't, in my opinion, from what I'm hearing, was not super active in the community, and so hopefully the risk of infecting a lot of other people is relatively low. So we do have our first confirmed case, and to be very honest with you, I'm quite surprised that it didn't happen sooner, because being on the intersection of I-25 and I-80, we have so many travelers, and with this contagion being so really, if you will, obviously very transmittable, we're pretty fortunate. At the same time, we probably know that it's here in the community and people just haven't gotten tested. But here's kind of this about that and where we're at with this whole situation. You know, these are really unprecedented times, and I think we're all a little uneasy as far as how we feel about it. It can be very unsettling. It can even seem, you know, really scary, especially if you're somebody that has, you know, an immune system that's compromised, or if you have elderly family, or if you have really young children, or if you're pregnant and expecting a child. I feel that it's really unsettling, and you know, I couldn't help but remember back to the last time, you know, that I can remember, the earliest time as a kid, you know, feeling that unsettlement, and it was back in the 70s, and I remember being in my parents' wood paneled you know, white station wagon kind of car, and being in line to get gas at a gas station in Casper because of fuel shortages. And I could sense my parents' uneasiness, and I could sense their anxiety. And as a young kid, parents don't really have to say anything. They just kind of sense that things are not as they should be. And I really feel like we're kind of at that stage in another time of life where things are not as they should be. For those of us, you know, my children were really quite young when 9/11 happened. They were, you know, preschoolers, and I read now that the 9/11 little kids are graduating, and they're experiencing for their first time the sense of uneasiness and uncertainty and a bit of panic. And so generationally, I think we've kind of seen this, but this is really different because obviously we really haven't seen any kind of health emergency, if you will, and how do we control it, and what do we know about it, and you know, leaving it up to the scientists, or you know, the fact that there's not a vaccine. We don't really know how to treat this. And so there's so many unknowns. And so with that, I think many of us throughout our lives, if you kind of think back, we probably have felt that sense of uneasiness before, but we've gotten through it, haven't we? And I think we can, I know that we're all going to, persevere and get through this again. And we have to do it as a community. And that's how we've done it in the past, and that's how we're going to move forward. So, where we're at right now in our community, again, we do have the one confirmed case. It's very confined, and that that couple that has been exposed and confirmed, they're being quarantined. And I really have to give a lot of credit to the Department of Health and our city county health officials for making sure that all of that is going well. So what we're doing now currently, if you will, should you feel like you have symptoms, it's really interesting and a big learning lesson for me. The symptoms present much like the flu. And so it's cold, it's cough, it's runny nose, it's sneezing. High fever is a bit different, I believe, maybe than just the flu. But what we are doing right now is, if you have those symptoms, we urge you to contact your healthcare provider first. Do not go to the ER. Don't go to an Instacare. Don't go to the doc on the box on the corner. Call a healthcare provider or call that Instacare provider and tell them that you have symptoms and that you believe that you need to be tested. Cheyenne Regional Medical Center has a drive-through testing site right now. And what we're doing is, first, we're testing for the flu. And so you'll come into the garage at Cheyenne Regional Medical Center, and they'll give you a test for influenza. And you'll pull off to the side, and you'll park, and it's about a 15-minute wait to find out if you test positive for the flu. And if you test positive for the flu, hooray, you've got the flu. You do not have the coronavirus. And so then if you have the flu, you will then be given, obviously, orders as far as how to take care of that. If you do not test positive for the flu, they will then ask you to go back home and self-quarantine for probably, I'm guessing 24 hours is typically what the callback is. They will call you back for a test specifically for the coronavirus. And it's a two-part test. It's one that's done up through the nasal cavity. It's not pleasant. And then the second part of the test is down through the throat. So it's a two-phase test. And then again, it takes, from what I've been told, roughly 24 hours for those results to come back. So again, you go back home, you self-quarantine, and then the State Department of Health will inform you if you are in fact positive. And it's called a presumptive positive. And every positive actually has to be confirmed by the Centers for Disease Control. So it still has to go to the CDC. So this is quite, again, a real big process as far as how everything is going forward. The state of Wyoming does have tests. We don't have enough tests. We have ordered more because we believe that cases are going to be on the rise, but know that the tests are coming. And again, they're not pleasant, and there is no cure. And so what we want people to do is, if you again are having any kind of symptoms, just to stay home and kind of ride the course at home, that social isolation, if you will. And so that's kind of what we know about how to kind of treat that. And then what we've been doing in the city. So in the city, we've been working on disaster preparedness for quite some time now. And to be very honest, we didn't really anticipate a health emergency, if you will, some kind of antigen like we're experiencing now. And we're not unlike any other community that really hasn't thought about that. We've thought about tornadoes and other kind of, horrific kind of situations, but not something like a transmittable kind of virus. But that being said, our IT department has been fantastic in that we are completely set up to work remotely. We can access all of the servers, we can access payroll, we can access basically everything that we need to do to run city government from our computers at home. Sanitation, obviously, there are some services that just need to be done, and sanitation. Obviously, we have a blizzard on the way, and so snowplows are going to be out. And so with those departments, what I've really asked is that practice in the past was that during the breaks, they would come back to the main break room and I'll have lunch together, or I'll take breaks together, or I'll coffee together. And I'm saying, please don't do that. Stay away to your crew, and have lunch, maybe in the truck or, off site, just not to all gather as a full department. And that includes even for safety meetings. We can have safety meetings online. We can communicate in other ways rather than having full departments all together in one gathering. So that's what we're doing regarding city services. And then going forward, what we're doing is I've been in great communication every day, in fact, multiple times a day, with every agency in our county. Superintendent Boyd Brown, we've got Kathy Emmons with the City County Health Department, Robin Mullins with Cheyenne Regional Medical Center, we've got Janine West with the Emergency Management Association, of course, our first responders, the county's first responders. We've been on the phone constantly. I'm about out of breath and wearing my voice out from being on conference calls so long, but I can tell you that this community has really pulled together. Your city and county leaders have pulled together in a way that you should be so incredibly proud of. Let me talk specifically about the school district, because the closures obviously were expanded for spring break, and I really want to thank Superintendent Boyd Brown for his leadership. And one of the critical pieces of our community that I'm so very proud of is the breakfast and the lunches that we provide for those title schools with kids that really need those meals, as well as the Friday food bags. And so Superintendent Brown has assured me that during this time where school's not in session, those breakfasts and those lunches are going to be available to students. They're either going to be available at the different schools, and I believe that was listed, and we'll post that again. And so parents can just go to those schools. It's a grab and go situation where you can just come in, you can grab, at one time you can grab the breakfast and the lunch and have that all ready to go. And as in prep for what we expect to be really bad weather, on Thursday I've been told that there's going to be double lunches available. So again, families will be able to pick up 2 meals for those kiddos and take them home. And can't really thank our school district enough for being so prepared and thoughtful as far as those nutritional needs for our students. And then I did write down some notes because I knew I'd forget something. So speaking about this weekend and weather, we do have an anticipated storm coming up. We are expecting blizzard conditions beginning tomorrow night into Friday. And so again, just keep checking social media. We'll be, again, in regular news outlets regarding any kind of closures. Expect them. And then a final message about our businesses and how they've been responding to these times, and to certainly this coronavirus and the spread. And if you haven't heard, we've had several businesses that have decided to preemptively on their own shut down. We at this time have not ordered any businesses, restaurants, bars to close. We're leaving that really up to the discretion of the business owners, but I do know that several businesses in town have closed, and what that means is that we have workers who are no longer working. And I've been in touch with our business community, and I expect in the following days to announce with all hope a disaster relief fund that people might be able to apply for grants to assist them to pay for rent or other utility needs, during this time. I will say that, and this is it warmed my heart. I was in touch with the banking community today, and at least a couple of the banks in the near future will likely be prolonging, if you will, term loans. So if you have a car loan or your mortgage, they'll be extending that out 90 days. So that make those payments right now. So if you're in that kind of situation and your bank hasn't already maybe reached out to you, or doesn't reach out to you in the next day or two, reach out to your bank, reach out to your lenders, and see if they are interested or are doing that kind of program where they're extending it, say, a 90-day window to allow you a little bit more flex room. Especially, we've got a great service industry here. We're a tourist economy as well, and so it's going to be very tough on folks. And with that being said, I really ask that businesses be very generous as far as allowing for their workers to take time off for sick leave, even if maybe it's not accrued. And then when this is all kind of said and done and we can get back together and socialize, we need to socialize here in Cheyenne. We have to shop Cheyenne. We have to dine in Cheyenne. We have to spend our money here in town, because that's what is going to carry us forward in the future. And so with that, I'm going to open it up for any questions. I haven't really been looking at my phone, and we'll see, really if there are, and if not, that's good too. All right. Grants, please. Yeah, we're really looking at that. Several other communities, other mayors that I've been in touch with around the country, have formed some really great programs, and I really think that we'll be able to model that. Again, really small grants, maybe $500, $700, just to help people out with their immediate rental needs. So. Oh, can we put a message out that dogs and other animals have not been shown to carry the virus? Yeah, let's do that, because it's really important to know that our pets are safe, and especially in this time of social isolation, we really need our pets have to be around us. So that's really helpful. Okay, stay home. Yes, and so stay home and save the ER for emergencies. I couldn't stress that enough. If you don't feel well, just stay home, and again, call your local provider or call somebody at one of the Instacare and talk to a health professional over the phone first. All right. Okay, so explain what quarantine means. Quarantine basically means that you need to stay home. Don't go shopping. Don't go to don't go to the movies. Don't go out to eat. I'm really encouraging restaurants in town to provide takeout services. Most of them do. Definitely support your local restaurant. Call ahead, pick up takeout. If you're healthy, order takeout, pick it up, go, and come back home. Why are schools closed but not daycares? Daycares, for the most part, are privately owned, and so as far as government goes, we've not ordered the shutdown of any kind of private entities. What we are looking at doing, and we'll have hopefully an announcement here in the near future, is there is a shortage of daycare providers and daycare places, and I'm talking with Superintendent Boyd Brown with the school district, especially for our first responders, our folks that are working in the hospitals, in the ERs, having daycare available for them. We're looking at possibly setting up a stand-up kind of daycare, if you will, in one of the schools, because we've really kind of run out of space for all of that. It's not an empty glass. It's a glass of water in case my in case my throat gets dry. Will our children have to make up the days missed at the end of the school year? That's a great question. I don't know that. That's probably going to have to come down from the state. Schools are funded by what's called an ADM, or an average daily attendance kind of rate. And the fact that they've even been closed down longer than they were anticipating means less funding for our schools. And so I know that our school districts are working very closely with the state, which probably have to work very closely with the federal government as far as making sure that those minimum days are met. Okay. What about people that have to have a doctor's note to work, hence for food service? Boy, if you have to have a doctor's note, I think it's probably important that you do, and I'll be reaching out to City County Health and seeing if maybe they can assist with that as well too, to making sure that those notes are more easily accessible than better. Oh, do we have any COVID-19 cases here in Laramie County? Yes, there was one confirmed today. We've had several tests in the past that have been negative, but we do have one, and it's called a presumptive positive, because only the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, is the only one that can actually finally confirm that case. So we have essentially a presumptive positive one here in Cheyenne. Let's let people know that panic buying is okay. I don't know that it is okay. Think about your neighbors, and here's the deal: we're Wyoming. Yeah, it's important to be smart. It's important to isolate, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't help each other out. For instance, again, we've got a snow event coming on, and if you're well and you're healthy, I challenge you, and I'll do the same. I live on a corner. Keep shoveling. Help out your neighbor. Help out your elderly friends across the street, who can't get out. This is a time where that's how you can help out. Help shovel them out this weekend. Find out if other friends need, meals delivered or something to that respect. But we are not beyond just being who we are in Wyoming, and that's neighborly. Is school being extended out? Again, we don't know that, but we'll certainly work with Superintendent Brown to be talking about that in the future. Yes, we do have one positive case in Laramie County, just one. Back off the hoarding. Okay, I get that. I finally went to the grocery store just myself yesterday, and I was kind of surprised at some of the things that were there and some of the things that were not. There's lots of great produce, by the way. I think everybody needs to hit the produce department. Should this get worse, what rules are we looking at implementing in the future? That's a great question. The town of Jackson has, as of I believe tonight, closed down all restaurants and bars, and they are looking at possibly closing down in the future any unnecessary retail. That's a drastic measure, and that drastic measure is primarily because they're a resort town where so many people came in, they were skiing, the ski hills got closed down, and then everybody went to the bars and they're hanging out, which means really people stay at home and stay away if you can. That's what's going to really kind of curtail this spread, if you will. And if we continue, if we see a large spike, we could very well see a situation where we do have to tell the restaurants and the bars to close. That would be my last resort. I would never do it on my own. It would be with the direction and the consultation with City County Health and certainly our city council members. And but it could even come down from the state of Wyoming. The governor could order as such. So with that being said, just again, the best thing that you can do to keep that from happening is to keep limiting that social interaction right now so that it doesn't continue into the future. Anything from the base. Yes, I've been in communication with Colonel Benetti from the base, and they're doing a really fine job. What they've asked with the base is that, say, folks like myself, I have a pass to get on base, but not necessarily a reason. So I have a pass where I could go in and use, the dining hall or go to Dunkin' Donuts there. They're limiting that. So unless you are you're working at the base, you're a spouse of somebody on the base, they're really trying to limit outside interaction onto the base, which I think is a pretty wise move. Okay, blood donors are needed to ensure hospital patients need. Cheyenne residents, come on in, please. Yes, if you are a donor, certainly don't stop. And those folks certainly are taking all those precautionary measures. Okay, please tell Cheyenne residents to be considerate of other people when buying food and other necessities. This is absolutely wrong. And so, again, I kind of keep saying this as far as the hoarding goes. And so that's really important. Mark Lance, buy a meal for elderly neighbors, or at least check in on them. And you know what? That's a really great idea. You don't even necessarily have to make interaction with them. Pick up that meal, get in touch with them, knock on the door, leave it on the porch. That's the really kind of cool stuff that we can do as Cheyenne residents, and I think that's so important. Or even just purchasing a bag, if you will, of all the ingredients to make spaghetti. A loaf of bread, some pasta, some beef, some a salad ready to go. Knock on the door, leave it, and make somebody's day. Okay. Oh yeah, definitely. And so this is a really good point. If you've got questions about the base, the F.E. Warren or the 90th Missile Wing does have a Facebook page, and so go to that. They'll keep you updated all the time. All right. Colorado says that the state tests are the same as the CDC. They all say presumptive cases are positive. Is Wyoming's test different? No. Wyoming's tests are not different. So all of the tests do have to go to the CDC. So we have the same test that everybody else does. We administer the test. It goes to the State Department of Health. The State Department of Health sends it on to the CDC. And so it's quite a process. Yes, I am confirming that the individual is from Cheyenne that was tested presumptive positive, as we're saying. How long does it take to get the results from the coronavirus, from the test? It takes a few days, because first of all, you're tested for influenza. If that goes negative, then you have to come back roughly 24 hours later. Then you're tested, and then another 24. So roughly 48 hours before those tests are actually known. So while you are waiting for those tests, what they are doing is they are they're quarantining you either at home or in another facility. What are the steps so that we don't end up being under martial law like New York and San Francisco, just so that we can avoid all that? Well, we're really blessed out here in Wyoming in that we're pretty socially isolated as we are. A lot of the cases in New York and San Francisco, LA, the transportation system has been a large commuter of that, for lack of a better term and pun intended. And that because we don't have mass transit, because we don't have a lot of very large office buildings with lots of populations in them, we're much more socially isolated than the bigger populations. And so hopefully what we can do by doing this now is control it, stop it, get this under control, make sure everybody's healthy, and lessen the length of this virus. Okay. Good point. Banks are giving relief on all payments. Definitely reach out to them. Those of us who work retail don't have so much of an option. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate the same with being food service. Having been somebody myself who was a waitress, I worked retail. My family had a retail department store. Absolutely, there's not much. You have to keep your doors open. You have to have those sales to make sure that payroll can be met. And so it's really tough, and I have to give a big shout out to the business owners that are able to meet those payrolls without those sales being strong enough to probably pay for the staff that are there. But we need to still provide services as long as we possibly can. And as it was mentioned earlier, I don't know that we're quite ready to go into some kind of martial law where we just shut everything down. I don't know that that helps. That certainly doesn't help the economy, and it certainly doesn't help our confidence. And so it's a day by day, but I appreciate that thought. Okay. Compensation. That's a really good question as far as compensation. There's currently legislation going through Congress where, last I read, essentially every man, woman, and child would receive $1,000 check here in the coming weeks. I don't know if that's going to pass. Certainly, we're looking at Congress is looking at other measures regarding paid sick leave and making sure that that's taken care of. So that's all very fluid. We're taking a look at that. So question as far as I've been in touch with the business community and what does that mean? Was just at a Chamber of Commerce, attended that meeting remotely yesterday, was on the phone with the head of the Chamber of Commerce today, I've been in touch with business owners today on multiple levels. So just in constant contact with our community. All right. Oh, a great question regarding, can you make hours for the elderly to shop and people who have children with disabilities who can actually get what we need? That really needs to be done, I believe, by the businesses themselves and not a city mandate. I see where some shopping organizations, some of the larger grocery stores have done that, where they've got special early hours or evening hours for the elderly or those that are disabled to do that. And that's great, but that's up to those individual business owners and not the city. Okay, somebody said we need to recognize Joe Sjogren for what he's doing to help out this community, and I'll say yes. Joe's doing a great job for keeping everybody informed, certainly through social media. Where can we find information about local mandatory business closures? We are not issuing any mandatory business closures at this time. Where you will find that, it would most definitely be in news releases and then social media. The other thing that we are checking out right now too, there is that charter line, the charter TV station that does broadcast our city council meetings, and what we're looking at doing is providing updates on that TV station as well too. So we'll be sure to get that out in the future. All right. Oh well, okay. So I'm gonna address this. Some people are wondering why I'm at my house and why I'm doing this. Well, let me tell you. I am social distancing. I am congested. I've been coughing. I don't believe that, I certainly hope I don't have the virus, but I don't know if it's allergies or a cold. But the city is shut down. I've been working from home. I'm doing this from my home. I actually showered for you today. It's been a couple days, but I am committed to talking to you every night at 6 p.m. to let you know the latest of what's going on. But I am social distancing for probably at least the next week, because I do have, as you might be able to hear, I'm a bit congested. I've got a bit of a cough, that's the water, and a raspy voice. And so, but I am committed to providing you the information that I have, and we might find that it might not be too much different tomorrow than it is tonight. But I really appreciate the opportunity to be open with you, transparent with you, and look at some of your questions. Okay. There have been a lot of them. I don't know that I'm quite catching up. Oh, okay, so a question about, or a topic about a lot of our youth going to a concert down in, down in Denver last week, the Post Malone concert in particular, and with our youth. And that comes back to really just be very self-aware, if you will, as far as any kind of symptoms that you might have, and kind of act accordingly with what we've all been saying. You know, stay home. If you don't feel well, please stay home. All right. Okay, here's a really good question. Give backs. Everyone has said that it's already plastered over Facebook. When, where, and how to get tested. How many kits do we have? How long for the results? Well, we don't have many kits. Last I was told we had 300 kits for the entire state of Wyoming, which certainly is not enough. More kits are on order. Um, that is why, again, the process is, if you feel like you need to get tested, they test you for the influenza first. And then you get tested roughly a day later for the coronavirus. I don't know when those extra tests are coming. We are looking to, certainly, the Department of Health, the City County Health Department, to find out when those tests come. But we just don't have enough. And so again, that's why it's so critically important that if you have symptoms, such as myself, that you just stay home if you can. And again, to employers, I really beg that you be very lenient as best as you can to provide paid sick time leave off for your employees, because you certainly don't want them coming in and possibly infecting or spreading any kind of virus to the rest of your business. Well, okay, so here's a question. If we're shut down, then why are people buying? We're not shut down. The city is not shut down. What we as the city are doing, and this is what we ask a lot of businesses to do, is that if you have employees that can work remotely, I'm working remotely. If you've got employees that can work remotely, let them work remotely. That doesn't mean that we're telling people not to go to the stores, or not to fill up their gas tanks and do the natural kind of things that need to be done. But as much as possible, really limit any kind of social interaction as possible. Oh, Meals on Wheels, with volunteers needing help. That's a really good thing. I was in touch with a friend today, and they did a big call out for Meals on Wheels needing volunteers. And our community is so incredibly amazing. It's my understanding that Meals on Wheels has all the volunteers that they need right now. So thank you so much for everybody that stepped up to that plate. Okay. Well, yeah, I see that. Somebody said that we're in this together, and so I think that's how I'm gonna wrap up. Is that, yep, we're all in this together, and we'll get through this together. It's the Wyoming way. It's the Cheyenne way. It's how we roll. It's kind of what we do, and so with that, I just really want to thank our community. Certainly want to thank our tireless healthcare workers. We don't, I don't know that we think about them enough and their families, and the dedication, the sacrifices that they're making during this incredible time, and also our first responders, our police and fire. They're out there, certainly taking our calls, and we're truly blessed as a community. I'm truly blessed to be your mayor, and I look forward to chatting with you all in the coming days and weeks. So with that, take care and God bless.